Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there. Welcome, boys. How's it going?
Good. How are you, mate?
Not bad.
Good. We are back. We are back.
We are
And
back
Chris
from being back.
joins us this time. Last week I was joined by Mike, and this week I'm joined by you two again.
Yeah.
Good to get the group back together again. So, interesting topic.
Yes. Why is the Jurassic World Trilogy so bad?
Or
is it bad?
Is it bad?
Is it bad? This is what we want. Like, so we had this discussion, I think, earlier this week, didn't we, James? And we're just saying, like, with the new film that's been due to release, hopefully next year, we'll see. We're just trying to think of, like, where we want this film to go and what we want in this film. And it sort of brought on, like, a discussion of, like, where did Jurassic World go wrong? How could it have been made better? Is there bits? Is there story arc? Is there stuff in there that shouldn't be there or needed to be swapped around? And we thought we need to get on and actually discuss this properly, and also get your views in the chat, guys, on if you agree with us or if there's anything that we've missed out. So, yeah, I think it'd be a good discussion.
Yeah, I would say I definitely want to hear people's opinions in the comment section as well, not just the ones in the live stream, but the actual comments of the video, because we always interact with all of the people that come onto our videos and watch our stuff. So I'd love to see your opinions, albeit if we're completely wrong in your opinion, that's absolutely fine. Like, we like to have, if everyone's opinion was the same, then we wouldn't get anywhere, would we?
Yeah.
So definitely up for a debate. Now, I don't want anyone to get the wrong end of the stick with this situation. We've lost Chris, but never mind. We'll get him back. There he is.
He'll be back soon.
I do think that we will get. We will probably find in my opinion, and I probably you two agree, is that the films start off high and gradually get worse. Throughout the trilogy. Like Jurassic World will always be held in a high regard, from my opinion. I don't know about you two.
Yeah, literally, it's in my top. I struggle to do like the rankings. Yeah, like some days, like I said before, some days it'll be Jurassic Park, Lost World, Jurassic World. Other days it could be Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Lost World. Other days it could be Lost World, Jurassic World, Jurassic Park. It's difficult to actually get a proper like ranking of those three films, but those three films are like literally my top favorite Jurassic films.
Yeah, no, I probably completely agree. Chris,
what
on that? Where do you sort of put them usually? Like, where would you...
Sorry, I was trying to fix the city. We still I lost all the camera and everything. Like, I don't usually swap between the last two films. They're always at the end of my list. Jurassic World can kind of slip into the ranking of the original trilogy with losing Jurassic Park 3, but
okay. So Lost World's always the second one for you.
Well, Jurassic Park and Lost World are always like between the first two.
Fair enough. That's probably quite a popular opinion, to be fair. I can't really argue with people that say that, because I do deep down absolutely adore the Lost World.
See, I like Jurassic Park 3, but there's just points in it that kind of irritate me enough when I watch it to think, do I like Jurassic World that a little bit more as a movie?
Yeah. No, see, I don't know what it is with Jurassic World. I think like where it had been so long since we had a Jurassic film, that whole opening sequence of like Gray getting off the boat, going through the hotel, opening those curtains, and then just going over Jurassic World, just having that whole music going, is still just like one of the top.
Still
10.
Gives me like air stand up on the back of my neck when I watch that bit.
Yeah, it's just like I don't want to wait anymore. And it's like we don't have to wait; it's here.
And it's the same as like when you think about Fallen Kingdom. I think that intro to Fallen Kingdom with the Moser is probably the best. Some of the best 10 minutes or 5-10 minutes in the whole franchise.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, by far the best opening sequence we've got, not just in the Jurassic World trilogy, but the Jurassic franchise.
Yeah.
I think we actually ranked that. We had when we had Colby Boothman on, Steve, didn't we?
Yeah.
We actually ranked that in one of the most epic moments of the franchise, that opening scene. Which, by the way, I might put in the chat for people to click on. So
shall we dive into Jurassic World?
Yeah, let's go and get the ball rolling.
Right. Gosh, right. Jurassic World.
That's a cool logo.
It is.
It's a nice colour in it.
Yeah.
They should have gone with that.
Right. So, things we didn't like about Jurassic World.
I'm trying to think. Tough.
Yeah.
What
didn't I said, it is.
What didn't I like? I didn't like the line, but how many pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That needs to be erased from everybody's memory for life.
Yes, I've got it. One thing that annoyed me so much with Jurassic World, and still does to this day. So we've got the opening sequence with, the bird coming down. It's snowing. It's Christmas. They're away for the Christmas holidays. What theme park have you ever been to around Christmas time that has not got one Christmas decoration, not one Christmas tree, nothing?
That's almost like they were.
I can get away with that. Sorry, I can get away with that because, I can get over it because, I've been to countries around Christmas time who still are quite religious and stuff, but don't celebrate the commerciality of it. But I know what you're getting about the theme park, but I don't know whether they would just because of where it's located. I don't know whether they'd get into that. But yeah, I know what you mean with it being do people class it as a Christmas film? Is Jurassic World a Christmas film?
Technically, it is because it's done at Christmas, but
it's got a Christmas song in it.
Yeah, why did they need to have that? If they're not going to portray anything Christmas after that, why does it need to be in there?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a scene that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, but if that's all I can think of that's bad with this film, then I think Jurassic World's done all right.
I've got one gripe with Jurassic World that when I watch it, and every time I watch it, I think it could have been done so much better. And it's when we first meet the Raptor Pack, and we're walking down on them, and Owen's feeding them the rats and getting them to follow and do the commands. And I just think the Raptors look really poor CG wise in that particular scene. Later on, they look fine. But I don't know. It's like they've run out of money. They've run out of time. I don't know. They just couldn't be bothered. But that scene gets me every time.
The Smiley Rex at the end of
the Smiley Rex. Yeah. Although I think the whole CGI of the I don't understand the problems of the CGI. I don't get it really. I think it's actually pretty decent.
It's only in that scene.
None of it really ever takes me out of the film.
That bit does.
Other than I think there's one. I know it's Fallen Kingdom. There's a scene. There's a scene in Fallen Kingdom when Blue snarls at the screen that I really don't like. But other than that, I think the visual effects are pretty cool. All the ones of the Raptors are pretty decent. At the end of the day, I'm not a CGI expert, and I've not. But you think some of the people that have the criticisms actually work in the field of visual effects, so they can see where the artists have cut corners. But to the everyday person, if the lighting's good and I can see, sometimes it's sometimes the way, because I think Jurassic World was very shot, very very bright, colourful, child friendly, pristine, clean. There was no rugged, no dirt. There was no sort of, I guess. It was a very clean film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a very big.
It's a park, isn't it? So it's meant to be really clean.
Exactly. Yeah. If it was full of crap, that people would complain all the time.
I don't know. People still got a black pill, don't
they? Yeah. The aesthetics of the place, I think are pretty good. I think that is a very realistic looking park. The only thing I would suggest that they would have done it. I'm still umming and ahhing about the whole gyrosphere thing. I don't know how plausible that would be. Forget the technology, just the danger aspects of the gyrospheres.
Yeah, I suppose injuring the dinosaurs is a big thing as well.
Yeah,
like there's going to be someone that's going to see like a sleeping stego or anything and just try and run them over.
Yeah, but think about it like this, right? It's a little bit of a similar situation.
Like, I'm going to start that one.
In like Africa, people take people on safaris with close to rhinos and stuff like that, and I know they stay far enough away.
Yeah.
But the problem with this is there's no ranger there to kind of ranger that or anything. So like you say, you can like if one decides to charge, what are you going to do?
Yeah, literally two, like one teenage boy and one younger allowed to just drive around.
Okay, talking about the teenage boy. This is another thing that, like, how much of a creep was like a sack in this film?
Yeah,
he was perving over all the girls all the time.
Like borderline, a bit harassing.
Sitting there flexing on the boat.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't got that many issues with Jurassic World.
I haven't. I really like that Jurassic World. Like, it's definitely one. Like, I think Chris Pratt is like brilliant in it. I really like the introduction.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah. I think the casting's excellent. I really don't understand. Like, maybe you could argue that some of the dialogue could be very cartoon villainy, but I think when you realise, when you compare it to what came after, I just think it shows how actually good it was.
This is a personal preference thing, and you might not even remember this, but obviously in the film when they're going up, Owen and Claire are going up into the Indominus paddock, and he says, "Try to say Archeon if I'm Mimus," and he says, "You try to say it."
Yeah,
and then he goes, but that bit where he goes, "The dinosaurs, wow enough." There was a trailer that came out before the film, and I thought the way he said it in the trailer was much better than what was actually in the film. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's a way that he said it. It sounded so much more realistic than the kind of sarcastic way he said it in the film. It was weird.
Yeah. And I think there was another line as well somewhere else. There was one with Hoskins in one of the traders. He said there aren't enough guns, and like that line isn't like, it's when Hoskins is trying to say to Owen like why they need to take the raptors out, and he's just like, oh, there aren't enough guns, there isn't this, there isn't that, and I think that line really added to him getting his point across. But that was another one that was taken out that should have been added in.
One of my favourite lines I will say in this film though was the one that Henry and Masrani said. Well, Henry said when he was like, "We're just used to being the cat." I love that line in this film.
Yeah.
It's definitely full franchise in one line.
Yeah.
I haven't really got that many issues with Jurassic World. They're pretty much it.
Yeah. Like I said, we knew that Jurassic World was going to be a very quick discussion because, as a whole, I love the film, and anything that we've said in the past 10 minutes literally has been small nitpicking stuff that you can get. Definitely doesn't spoil the film. And once you get rid of the old Christmas bit at the beginning, like it carries on as is.
Yeah, no, exactly. You think about like what we could say about Jurassic World, Lost World. So, I mean, we could have a film with things we've got issues with in that film. So, but this one set the bar really high. It really was a perfect reboot to the franchise. It really did a good job. It brought T-Rex back. We got the brand new sort of face with Blue, the franchise as well. Bryce and
Moser
did a good job. Yeah, we saw Mosasaurus for the first time. Yeah, it was just it has so many positives for me. Yeah, like, it's definitely up there, and it wasn't Jurassic World's fault at all why the trilogy didn't really go how it should have done. I think, unfortunately, it did get progressively worse, but that's we're going to discuss that in a minute. So
what we do is we will head to a quick break and then go on to Fallen Kingdom.
We will.
Once I find the clip. Fallen Kingdom. You like that little transition there?
I did. Nice logo change. Well done, Steve.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So
we're no amateurs here.
No, see, we've got the 10K production now.
Yeah. Jared says certain characters' arcs didn't really make sense or didn't deliver at the end of Dominion, especially where Maisie, Wu, and Dodgson are concerned. We will definitely get to that. So I'm going to star that comment, Jared, and we'll come back to that when we get to Dominion chat.
Have we got anything Fallen Kingdom related in the chat?
Not quite as of yet. Only Jared. We've only got maybe Jared stuff really.
Okay. Right. So, Fallen Kingdom.
How did you feel? When we went and saw this, Steve, we were buzzing when we came out, weren't we?
Yeah.
To be fair, like we went cinema midnight release, and we came out of that, and we were absolutely over the moon with this film. Like, it didn't compare to Jurassic World, but we came out still really happy, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. The film as a whole, like, you watch it for the first time, you go, okay, yeah, that was a decent film. When you it's when you start to go back and you look at, you rewatch it, and then you follow it on from Jurassic World into Fallen Kingdom, you start to think, okay, we're sort of, completely going like you're at a crossroads, aren't you? In like a storyline, if it could have gone that way, I was expecting it to go one way, and this went a completely different way. But like as a whole, like we said earlier, that the intro to this film is easily the best intro we've had in the whole Jurassic franchise. The whole first act of this film, I enjoyed from start to finish. That whole island escape with the lava, like the volcano exploding, so good.
It was a very good adventure, weren't it?
Yeah, like, the cinematics were just incredible.
I'll tell you one of my favorite
on the journey with them.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits in it, and like even now when I think to Fallen Kingdom, this is the scene I always think about, is when the Carno pulls its face into the door of the gyrosphere.
Yeah.
Like, and you just see the detail on that, on the done on that CGI, that Carno, it's like outstanding. But I say overall, that full island scene was great. Even the stuff after that I enjoyed, but I think it was a separate film.
Yeah.
It was almost like it needed to be two movies, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I feel they could have made another 6 films based on just Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, to be fair. Another 4 movies based on these 2 films, because the story elements that we're trying to squeeze in the 2.5 hours was so in depth that almost required you to sort of not be able to process the information you've just been given. Like, you had to think about like the lore and the history, and whereas Jurassic World, you didn't have any of that.
Yeah,
like everything was almost what's the word? The exposition was there in front of you, and it was almost child friendly in a way that meant you could go to that movie, come away from that film, and the whole journey all happened in that one film. With this Fallen Kingdom, it's almost like the filling of a sandwich, but it almost had bits of it missing, so you kind of can't just watch it on its own without wondering certain elements. Like there's certain dialogue that's spoken about that refer to other things that's happened before, whereas in Jurassic World, the only dialogue that was mentioned before was that of the first film. Like when Bryce says, "We've got the best structural engineers in the world," and then Masrani went, "Yeah, so did Hammond." Like little subtle comments like that were the only ones that kind of reference back to the past. And obviously having a character reprise their role like Henry Wu, we know him from the first film. But with Fallen Kingdom, they go back and forth to what's come before almost. In terms of knowing prior knowledge about what's happened, and Claire does a complete 180 as a character. But let's not even forget about that.
I actually prefer Claire's character in this than I do in Jurassic World.
Yeah, it's more developed
character. Yeah, but do you know what I always thought I wanted from this film? Like as we say, that first full island escape, great. Don't change anything about that. Keep that as it is. What I would have liked to have done is still come off the island, keep it like that, but instead of going to the mansion like they did, I always kind of wanted them to then go to the mainland, maybe Costa Rica or something like that, and have another jungle-esque kind of experience there where the dinosaurs get loose in the jungle. They can go mental in Costa Rica. The next film could then be more civilization.
Right. You know what? It's funny you say it's not quite like that, but does kind of. Mike left a message saying what he would have done with the second movie. And he says, for the second film, it would have been all set on Isla Sorna during the volcanic eruption. The Indoraptor would have been an escaped Wu experiment that was threatening the rescue team sent by Biosyn. Dodgson is trying to acquire the iRaptor for secret bioweapons agreements on the basis that Wu's current experiment at Biosyn Lab fails. Owen would have mixed feelings and speaks to Grant about whether he should rescue Blue. The ending of the film would be bittersweet as we watch the island burn. The remaining animals perish in the smoke along with the iRaptor in the ruins of the old visitor centre. And obviously, the third film, Mike goes on to talk about how that Biosyn story then gets developed, rather than obviously just being plucked out of thin air.
Yeah.
Like it is.
That's true. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously, if you're not including Camp Cretaceous as part of this canon, which I try not to. So, we've got a comment here from Lorcan. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Dominion Wu is at Biosyn. Trevorrow always claimed to have the trilogy planned out, but in reality, the Biosyn clues should have been dropped way before Dominion. Loose continuity in my big gripe. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. It would have been nicer touch if they used Norman Atherton. That's a cool character to use instead of inventing Lockwood as a nice tie-in with the original novel. Yeah. And finally, definitely agree that Biosyn clues and build-up, Jared says, should have been much more prominent, at least in Fallen Kingdom's second half, rather than popping out of the blue. Yeah, guys, I completely agree. Can't really fault anything you've said there.
This is becoming more and more common in more and more franchises now, where you think back to like even early 2000s for the most part, and like late 90s and stuff. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, all that, they always used to direct for the most part their own movies or get a director that was on the same wavelength as them with them supervising.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem to happen anymore. Now it's just random directors thrown in with a rough plot, a rough story, and said, you know what, go and do with it what you want. And
do you know what I think? Funny you say that. Do you know what I think? You think about it. We had, we had two. Who directed Jurassic World? It was Colin Trevorrow, wasn't it?
Colin Trevorrow. Yeah.
Colin Trevorrow did one and three.
Yeah.
But Iona did two. But they had three separate screenwriters.
Yeah.
So it's you can't. That's where it just
feels disjointed.
Where it feels disjointed because as much as people might have had a problem with Derek Connolly, like at least him and Colin were clearly on the same wavelength. And I do wonder how much of that Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver screenplay got used for Jurassic World. And I'm wondering how much of that is what we actually liked. Mm-hmm. And the stuff that Colin and Derek brought in, we didn't like as much. I don't, obviously we can't prove what their input actually was, because they're never going to like openly admit that. They're going to take they're going to take they've got the credits. You know, so what I mean? So I'd like to think that first film was, you know, Colin and Derek at their peak, sort of right in there, but who knows?
I know you especially, James, for the most part, prefer the Indominus to the Indoraptor.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the Indoraptor still as a villain in this game?
I like it. No, I love the Indoraptor. The only thing I don't the only problems I have with the Indoraptor are not necessarily anything to do with the design or the creature itself. Actually, it's just the way it was sort of the way the character made the character of it.
Yeah.
Almost with like a human type. What's the word? Like brain.
As intelligent.
Because it was. I think it was almost like when it was on the roof. When it was on the roof, Like, why would it then go back inside?
Yeah.
Like little things like that. Like an animal, surely an animal that's been in restraint and restriction and in captivity its whole life. Once it's out, it wants to go. Why would it then climb on the roof and then climb upside down to open the door to get in Maisie's bedroom? It just makes no sense that for an animalistic nature thing to do. It just wouldn't do it. An animal, and unless it's got a certain element of its brain that makes it do things that aren't animal. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously it works for the film, it works for the drama, it works for the tension, but it's just, I'd rather them not have let them. Amazing shot, by the way. It looked incredible cinematic wise, but that whole scene just made me think, well, why is it not escape?
Yeah,
it's the nature of the raptors is that they escape from their pen.
Well, yeah, I get that. And do you know what?
The reason they're hunting humans on the island is because they're there.
Yeah, there's one other scene in this that kind of makes me. It doesn't take me out of the film or anything, but I always think when I watch it, I was like, you could have done that a bit better. And it's when the facility's starting to blow up and Blue's in the lab, and she smells the gas. She has like a little smells the gas, and then all of a sudden she jumps out of it just before it explodes. It's like some out of Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know what? I know why it's in there for a bit of suspense, a bit of drama, and a bit of excitement, but I just think it's a bit weird.
So
I've mixed feelings about the laser chugging for the Indo. To a lesser degree, the Atrocioraptors, it was never teased, just slapped in our faces. We're going to have a field day with the Dominion chat. I wouldn't worry about that, mate. We're going to get there. Let's style that as well, because that's another comment I want to talk to. For me, it's definitely second place in the trilogy. There's a lot more about it there's more that I really like than I don't, but nowhere near on the same level as the Jurassic World. Like, I think Jurassic World is a solid 8 out of 10 movie. Like, it's not.
You see, this is very close for me for Jurassic World in terms of a film.
See, for me, this is where, like, my wife hated this film, and so did yours, Sherry. Steve, didn't she?
Yeah, my wife hates it.
Because everything about it, Emma just doesn't understand or get. She's just like, why would a dinosaur do that? Why would it click its fingers? Why would a dinosaur open the door? See,
with my wife, she was happy. Like, she would watch all that stuff. The bit that she was sitting there watching it going, okay, it's all right. The bit that took her out of the film was, I'm a clone. Second that bit got in, she was like, yep, whatever, right, this is now ridiculous. This has entered the world of just being stupid. And that's it.
To be fair, I think that's where, like, the M's not very forgiving like that as well. She's similar, to be fair, in that same sort of mindset. If it's not plausible, she's sort of just like, if it's not real, so it's not really like, it goes a bit stupid. Like I liked the way the sort of the bomb it dropped when they sort of mentioned it.
Yeah,
but I didn't quite know how to process it.
No,
I was trying to work out, like, when was she in the Jurassic Park then? When was Maisie's mum around? Like, where's that come from?
All that stuff that we're going to discuss in a bit, but it's in Dominion for that, where it does go back and give you a flashback of that, of her being pregnant and stuff like that. That should have been in this film. That should have been earlier on in this film to give a bit more storyline to that, and then they could have expanded on that in Dominion.
Yeah, even because she was watching stuff on the computer screens, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, baby Blue. Why couldn't she have been watching stuff about her mum?
Yeah.
But I think the reason why is because they changed her story, didn't they?
They did change her story because of backlash.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure it's got to be because everyone hated the idea of clones. So they've gone, all right, no, we're going to quickly change that. It's not clones.
What they chose isn't exactly any better, is it?
It's even more confusing. Like
asexually reproducing her own daughter.
Yeah.
Using, like, injections.
Yeah.
I guess the science kind of is there.
Yeah, like, it is plausible, but it is just stick with the story you've been telling.
Yeah. It's like they try to shoehorn all this extra stuff in to make the storyline a bit better, but it doesn't.
Yeah, which, again, is my massive issue with Dominion, which we will spend probably longer talking about Dominion than we have Fallen Kingdom. But one of the things I didn't like about Fallen Kingdom, though, and might be quite controversial, is I don't really like Wheatley, the character.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like we've just got this another sort of character of like this ranger. You know, we had Roland Tembo, we've had Muldoon. We've now got this sort of Wheatley, the same sort of dressed character, you know, like that sort of one. And like the whole thing about him pulling teeth for the trophies, I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's fine, whatever. We know we're going to be set up for a decent death, but his whole character just not annoyed me, but I wasn't feeling it.
Do you know what? I liked Franklin's character as well, until he was screaming.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot better in the second film.
I couldn't stand him.
In Dominion, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, yeah. In Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, he was just doing my nuts in. I was like, who is this?
I kind of liked him. Yeah, I liked him when he was having like the exchange with Pratt on the plane where he's like, we're not compatible.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That was good. But then as soon as he got on the island, everything was, is that a T-Rex? Is that a T-Rex?
Yeah.
And that was like overused.
And like, I've said this so many times that Franklin's character should not have been Franklin. It should have been Lowry. 100% should have been Lowry.
Yeah.
Claire should have gone to him and said, look, you know the system, you know the park, I need your help. Why get Franklin, who is like this scaredy cat sort of person, on the island when you've got the perfect character? And Jake Johnson was supposed to be in, was it Fallen Kingdom or Dominion? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Fallen Kingdom and he was meant to be in there.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened, but yeah, I really like that actor anyway. And I thought, you know, that would have been spot on for what that film needed.
Yeah.
Because he had that, like, proper cocky attitude that you wanted. Mm-hmm. And he would have loved to have gone back. Can you imagine him then going, like, with Owen and Claire to the old visitor centre?
Yeah.
And he's still got his, like, Jurassic Park top. He's like, oh, yeah, it's the original. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I could sell these on eBay. You know, there's so much potential.
It's like, and to say, like, that would have been amazing. But I say, for Falcon, I thought the CG was, especially for the dinosaurs, was on point on this film. I did think the CGI was like incredible in this film.
The CG and actually the visual effects are by far the best visual effects we've had in any of the Jurassic films, and they still are. The animatronic company that they used was, I wouldn't say Stan Winston, but it was as close as you can get, and I can't complain overly about any of the animatronics. I think because of the technology they've had since the Jurassic Park films, the original trilogy, you think it's been, how many years was it? 14, 20 years? Something like that. Yeah. From Jurassic Park 1 to Jurassic World. You think they've had all that technology change in that time. So the animatronics definitely moved smoother than any of the ones in Jurassic Park 3 and The Lost World, hands down. But obviously they just had that different type of lighting shot that they used, and they overlaid with the CG, didn't they, to bring them to life. Yeah. The Indoraptor was incredible.
Yeah, and
it was so good.
Yeah, Bayona got that suspense for that whole scene, that stalking scene, like to a T. That is 100% his style, and it worked for that whole Lockwood Manor scene.
Do you know what? Going back to what you said before, Steve, right? And James, actually, in terms of how scary would the Indoraptor have been if it was on the island, though? Because it's like
what is in Jurassic World.
Yeah. So like if that would escaped Jurassic World and just been on the island, it wouldn't have been as scary, I don't think. It was that claustrophobia of having it in the mansion that made it so much more terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it would have worked that small on such a big island. Like you said, it's got to have that scale. And the Indominus Rex is
that's why the raptors work, because you know, and even the Indoraptor to a certain extent is big for a raptor, but it's still small enough, you know, to work inside that mansion. Like it wouldn't work in a regular house. Like a velociraptor would be able to go inside your home at your standard house, but an Indoraptor wouldn't fit. But it definitely would fit in a manor house, so it definitely makes sense for them to do that. But I don't. You know, it's a difficult one, this, because. Welcome, Sam.
Standard.
But do you know what? Like, as well, I'm just going to put this out there. And again, it doesn't take me out of the film, but every time I think about it, I hear my dad in my head saying to me this every time I watch it, and it's when Chris Pratt gets tranked, and he's trying to crawl away from the lava, and I'm like, your face would be peeling off at that point. Being so close to that lava. I just hear my dad telling me that. He's like, it's all the rubbish, that.
Yeah.
I know, but that, you know what, things like, I know, like the plausibility, you know, that sort of stuff.
It's entertaining,
that sort of stuff. I kind of doesn't really bother me.
No, it's just something I see and I think,
yeah.
It's, like, for me, that's not a reason why, you know,
not to watch it. Yeah,
not to watch the film. I actually do like Fallen Kingdom. I actually do really like Fallen Kingdom. I was, until Dominion come along, it was one of my least favourites. Definitely. But I find myself, you know, going back to it because of certain elements that I really enjoy.
I'll probably watch it tonight.
One of the things that I do really like about this film is how it kind of, how we see everything sort of get destroyed and the island sort of disappear, and it was such a great cinematic, claustrophobic, especially in the IMAX, and I went and saw this in that moving chair one before the X screen, and that scene inside the gyrosphere when they were going, the volcano was exploding and you had to go in the water, and that was brilliant to watch in that sort of type of show. So that was really fun. But like I said, sometimes these films on these epic scales, they almost need those experiences to make them worth. Like, this is almost like the same, like the Avatar effect, I like to call it. Like, I've seen both Avatars at the movie theatre in multiple different types of screenings, and all of them are amazing. When I watch it at home, I still enjoy it because I like the movie, but it's just not the same experience at all whatsoever. Whereas I know, Steve, you haven't seen it at the cinema, have you? You've only watched it at home, and you're not really a fan anyway.
No, I saw Avatar 1 in the cinema.
Oh, did you?
I've not even seen Avatar 2.
Have you not? So it's just, that's what I mean. It's like some films, you know, need that quality of the cinematic experience, and I think that's what I liked about Dominion. When we get there, I felt I enjoyed it in the cinema.
He loves getting poked at the bum. So are we agreed that Fallen Kingdom has its flaws, but we're still happy as a whole?
We're still happy, but I do think it opened up a massive can of worms. And right before we get onto Dominion, because I feel like, you know, this is all about why did the Jurassic World Trilogy get worse? And I feel like we're trying to, you know, shine a bright light on areas rather than sort of going in deep on why it didn't work out. Before we get onto Dominion, what about this film do you think caused Dominion to be so divisive? Do you think it was just the Maisie storyline?
Yeah, Maisie storyline for me. Take that out of it, and I think Dominion would be maybe a lot better. Just don't know. It's tough.
I just don't think it's needed. Like the Maisie storyline doesn't add anything to the plot of the story for the most part. And take it out of the film, does it change anything? That's what you need to do. Like, if there's a part of a film that you think doesn't work, take it out of the film, and does it affect the plot? No. It'll be the same film without just that storyline in it. Yeah,
there's something with Dominion that is my biggest gripe with it, but I'll come to that with Dominion. It's got nothing to do with Maisie.
Yeah.
But the whole clone storyline, changing it to, like what we said, is just it's not needed. And
my biggest issue with Fallen Kingdom is the fact nothing with the first half, great, perfect film. Second half could have been something completely different, and that second half could have been part of Dominion, I think, or hybridized into Dominion. I think the second part of the movie could have been something better, as good as it was.
Yeah,
I think with the whole Fallen Kingdom thing, is that it laid some really interesting groundwork that we'd never seen before, and I just wish that we'd had a bit of a prior build up to the stuff that it like almost told you about, like Benjamin Lockwood. Why did they not use Hammond's friend Atherton, like someone mentioned in the chat? Like, he's a character from the books that was clearly Hammond's partner in the past. Like, why did they make someone new up with no, that no one's going to care about? And
something else that never got elaborated on was this Sanctuary Island that Lockwood
I know.
had. Like,
this
island is still
somewhere.
somewhere.
Was going to get that.
Yeah,
in the third film,
because like he's had it planned, he's had it ready to go basically. So it's somewhere owned by his estate.
And
where is it?
Was it confirmed to be a load of bullshit? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I think it was Lockwood who had this all. It wasn't Thingy that had all this doing it, was it? He was just kind of helping him. But as far as I'm aware, I think it was Lockwood had it in his head that it was all good to go.
No fences, no boundaries.
Unless it was all a ruse by
tourists.
Unless Mills was like, oh yeah, this is undergoing. We need more funds for the island. And
he has been running his estate for the last 15, 20 years or something.
Yeah, so he could have said there's an island, but really he's just building this auction house.
Yeah,
and building this connection.
Yeah, we've got a sanctuary. It's downstairs in the basement. It's all the cages.
That's enough. That basement to Lockwood's Manor is so cool. Like, with all the way the dinosaurs come in and go down, and
it's very convenient though, isn't it? That he's got a basement with all the cages just big enough for all the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Jared says the Maisie arc had some interesting potential in where they could have taken things in Dominion, but it was tragically wasted for a plot that made no sense for either her or Wu.
Yeah.
Another case of bad continuation. Sanctuary Island should have been Bison Valley. That, or if they really, really wanted to make Camp Cretaceous almost like a canon properly, possibly like use that Sanctuary Island instead of that Poxy Manticorp thing that they decided to go with.
At the end of that, when the kids try to get off the island, they wash up on Sanctuary. We don't know where Sanctuary is. Could be a cold island. It's not in the 5 deaths, obviously, but then that continues the story onto Sanctuary.
That's another thing. We've had 6 films, and not a single one of them have gone to one of these 5 death islands. Like, are they actually having a laugh?
Well, unless Hammond, because I think Hammond only said that he rented out, or at least 2 islands.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean other people don't go on them.
Yeah,
You're telling me that Biosyn have built up an entire enterprise in one of the coldest regions in Europe, the Dolomite Mountains, but they've not thought twice to keep the dinosaurs on one of the neighbouring islands where the animals are climatized to, rather than shipping them across the whole entire world.
Do you kind of think they was thinking, do you know what? We've tried this on island twice now, and twice they've escaped. Yeah. Should we maybe just put them in a mountain valley?
Yeah. They're on an island. They're on an island surrounded by mountains.
Yeah, but at least it's surrounded by mountains.
Yeah, they're surrounded by mountains.
T-Rex scale on a mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, it does on the Isle.
Well,
it does on the Isle. But then you fall and break your leg, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, shall we move on to probably the bigger topic? Because
let's go for a little break. And when we come back, we will talk absolutely about Dominion. I know.
Yeah, I'm sure we can just hit the points that are bad. Okay, yeah, bad.
Good.
If the quicker, just hit the good points.
Yeah. Perfect. Dominion.
Jurassic World Dominion. Jared says, also, how many species could have been rafted to one of the other Cinco Muertos islands? Like, how many of the islands are colonized by species? Good question. Good question that probably the what's it called? Chaos Theorem, Dino Tracker and DPG will be able to probably tell somewhere on all the artifacts and things you can find in the archives. I do think let's go to these starred comments first as topic points.
All right, yeah, let's get the star things out because I've got a few things to say right off the bat.
Right, something that really should have done in Dominion is it really gave us the environmental impacts and shifts that de-extinct species would have in a wider world and the consequences. Certain character arcs didn't really make sense or didn't deliver in the end of Dominion, especially where Maisie Wu and Dodgson were concerned. I've mixed feelings about the laser triggering for the Indo to the lesser degree the Etroceraptors. It was never teased, just slapped in our faces. Good point to start on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go on then.
What's the first start? Because you went through them all.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So something that really should have done in Dominion is really gives the environmental impacts and shifts that de-extinct species would have in the wider world and the consequences. So it's not only the dinosaurs that are going to be made extinct from this, cataclysmic event. There's going to be, more wild. I mean, how many species of wildlife is there in Costa Rica? It's like ridiculous amounts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Come on, sloths.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. They're not escaping.
No. It wouldn't have an effect on it.
Do you know what? I think after seeing... Sorry, Chris, go on, sorry.
Go on, I've finished, yeah.
I was going to say, after seeing Battle at Big Rock, which I absolutely loved,
yeah,
I think I came into this film thinking there's going to be a giant, almost rat race for Blue and Maisie, and a lot of incidents that they were going to deal with. They were going to deal with, I didn't think there were going to be two separate storylines and joined together all in one shot, like we have in the screen now.
The trailers had so much promise, didn't it? Because we had the T-Rex in the zoo, roaring at the lion. We were thinking, I want to see more of that. Are we going to see battle lions and all that sort of stuff? Didn't see anything like that. Yeah, there's so much more impact in the whole world than what we saw in this film.
And while the intro was good with the kind of prehistoric era starting it off, and then the T-Rex through the drive-through, the T-Rex through the drive-through stuff was good, right?
That was brilliant.
But I don't actually think initially they planned on putting that in. I think
are we critiquing the theatrical release that we saw in the cinemas or the extended cut? I think we need to be fair and do the theatrical because we discussed our cinema experiences. And if we go by the cinema experience of this one, there was no intro.
No,
the intro was just a bloody BBC Newsline telling us what's going on. Yeah.
It wasn't even BBC, it was some other crap thing.
Yeah.
At least the BBC one would have worked better because it would have been consistent with the Fallen Kingdom one.
Literally the intro just set the pace of the film.
Hold on, this is a good point.
Twice as bad then.
I think it's weird that there were Quetzals in New York at the start of the movie when they were supposed to be in a sanctuary. Within 20 seconds of watching the film, you're already like, what?
Yeah. Like I said, there's just so much promise that could have been done. Like the world, we're in Jurassic World, but it's now been confined to a small little mountain area in Italy.
Yeah.
And a small little island in Malta.
And they kind of sold this film on the premise of being dinosaurs are in the world now. They're all around us. Well, no, they're not. They're in a small area of the Dolomites in Italy. That's it.
Yeah. Welcome to Jurassic World.
Welcome to Jurassic.
You know what? For me, the theatrical version, I was instantly I was excited. Of course, I was. New Jurassic film. Really, really excited to see it. I thought the visuals were good. I think I was just more expecting and hoping for something a little bit more along the lines of like the Planet of the Apes series.
Yeah.
A
See,
bit
now
more.
that's a brilliant trilogy.
Oh, what's a trilogy that is?
Yeah.
Like, but they feel like they're the same tone. They feel like they're the same story. They almost feel like they're the same director and screenwriter because it's been done so well. A bit like the Lord of the Rings was. Like it felt, you can tell that was the same director.
Continuation rather than a stop-start.
Yeah, and
at least it was like you say, different directors or different even writers. It sounds like there's been like a director of a director of script that has been going through that full process over all 3 films and saying, yeah, this has to be in place. This has to be in place because this is happening in the next film. And it just doesn't seem like that has happened with any of Jurassic.
No, I think with this is the thing with Dominion. It's just so frustrating. Absolutely so frustrating. Like
so many bits of Dominion,
missed opportunities.
Yeah,
I
rewatched it recently, and it's probably the first time I've watched it in a good kind of 5 or 6 months at least. And there's still parts of it, and I think, you know what, I can't. It's to the point where like I don't want to watch this bit. I hate it. One point of it being where Owen grabs the Dial's neck. Hate that bit with a passion. With a passion.
Do you know what? Right, the only thing I don't like about that is the way the scene is panned out. Because I do think you could grab a Dilo around the neck, and you could do that. Like, I'm not saying what he's done is unrealistic because they're small enough animals. They're quite timid, aren't they? They're not exactly the most aggressive of creatures.
I don't know.
There's what the one on its own against with Dennis Nedry. That's different because it blinded Dennis Nedry. So Dennis Nedry was in a vulnerable state. So the Dilo approached it and then finished him off. Whereas in this case, there was no damage. One quite close to your face, of course, it's going to be a little bit intimidating. But, Chris Pratt grabbing it around the head, like, that didn't bother me. It was more of the way it was done. It almost seemed quite comical, weren't it? And
I've got like major beef with the dialogue in this film though, because
the design is a bit.
It's like my favorite dinosaur throughout the franchise, even though it's got one of the smallest parts. And I've been waiting and waiting for it to come back, and for it to come back in Dominion the way it did and look the way it did.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
And that whole thing with Dodge and the way he died, that just pissed me off more.
Yeah. Do you want to know what my biggest gripe with this film is?
Go on.
And it's annoyed me so much throughout watching it. So I know in previous films, fans have been going, I want more dinosaurs. I need more variety. Need more dinosaurs. Want more dinosaurs. Dinosaurs will make this film work. They did that and then some. But it didn't work.
No.
You've got so many additional dinosaurs that are in this film that just don't need to be there. The whole scene with the Pyroraptor.
Yeah, that doesn't need to be there. What does work as an addition is the Theory. I thought the
Theory's fine. It's stuff like the Pyroraptor, the Dimetrodons.
Dimetrodons, they didn't need to
be also the design of the dinosaurs I actually really liked. Might be controversial to some people. I know you guys probably are pretty on the same bar, but I love the Giganotosaurus, love the Giga. I really like the Therizino. I love the Pyroraptor's design, but what it was used for, just ridiculously pointless and stupid. Yeah. I hated that.
Like I said,
I hate the slow motion shots. There's just so much stuff that just pissed me off.
You can please the fans as long as you do it right. If you're going to put a load of variety dinosaurs in, make it to the story. Have a good storyline.
I still don't like the Giga.
Yeah, and if you're going to add if you're going to add new dinosaurs in, at least add the bloody prologue in the theatrical version. Like, what's the point in not adding the theatrical version, the prologue into the theatrical one, but then all these new dinosaurs just appear from nowhere?
It's like I get them adding dinosaurs in as fun thingy, but The one I can't get away from is the Pyroraptor because it just doesn't make sense for it to be there. And I think it's such a random choice of dinosaur out of all the dinosaurs they could have used. And I know why they've done it, because it looks cool, it's red, it's feathery, and people have been wanting feathers.
Yeah.
Again, there's so many other dinosaurs they could have used that would have worked so much better in... I wouldn't say not in the ice environment, because I still don't think that necessarily needs to be there either.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Pyro literally means fire.
Fire, yeah.
And it's swimming around in icy water and all that sort of stuff. It just...
That annoys when it crashes through, man.
Yeah, I know. Like, literally, you could have had the plane crash into that, and there could have been a struggle. Like, they could have just had the ice starting to break, and they escaped out, and they managed to get off the ice, and that's it, done.
And do you know what? As cool as they look, I can do without the Atrociraptors. Like, I think they're cool, and I think that whole motor scene was good. Don't get me wrong, I like the motor scene. But I just felt like they've done it again.
Yeah.
Give us something different.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm twisted because I like that scene as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, throughout this whole film, the mortar scene, I've got zero complaints over from start to finish.
Again, I don't know whether it's
I've got a complaint.
A different dino.
I've got a complaint. The two complaints I've got about the mortar scene is the fact that these Atrociraptors constantly miss their targets when they're designed to be the best killers, pure pedigree killing machines. Mm-hmm. And the other one is the fact that it can't catch Claire either.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
I like the Quet scene actually with the plane. That wasn't bad.
But it was definitely a highlight of that movie. It was the one scene that me and you looked at each other in the cinema and was just like, that was fucking quality. Oh, she's got swear. That was that was quality.
Yeah.
That was top action packed stuff, and it was brilliant. Good fun, good adventure. Even from the very start of it, from the arrival to Malta and to the binoculars on the rooftop, and we got to see Omar Sy again. Didn't we? Barry and Chris Pratt and him having that connection again, which was really nice to see.
And I did enjoy seeing the baby Carno. That baby Carno was sick.
Yeah.
Even though I did give a chuckle when it latched onto that guy's arm. Like, it was, you know what I mean? It was still good to see, like, the babies. And to even see stuff like, oh my God, what was it called? Lystrosaurus.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Just like
little like battle between the Lystrosaurus and the baby.
They did that so well because there was inclusions that didn't necessarily add a lot to the story, but there was good inclusions because they kind of added to the scene, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, it played a part.
Yeah. But not one that kind of the story was hinging on or anything like that. Like, the Pyroraptor was like a big scene that just didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think this movie suffered with is the fact that it should have been two films. Like, they didn't. They started introducing a world almost where dinosaurs were being used for, consumables and drugs and all that sort of random stuff to sort of be on the market. So not just being used for, pets, it was other things. And it was almost like it was meant to be only 4 years, but it's almost like it time jumped almost 20 with some of the stuff that was being almost shown and being expected to be taken plausibly. Because for me, like, dinosaurs on a world scale isn't necessarily a huge threat, because I think, realistically, the army would just, if it was that much of a dinosaur threat, they would just take them out. I mean, they would. People would go out and do it themselves if it was that much of a threat.
Yeah.
So, but obviously the activist thing, you know, protect the dinosaurs, the dinosaur protection group, I should say. Like, I get why they did it, because they wanted them to coexist. But in this film, the dinosaurs were just an inconvenience. They weren't the main threat. And you think, if you go back to Jurassic World, the dinosaurs were all in their enclosures. So we were kind of with Zack and Gray on the journey, weren't we? Until the pteranodons escaped, and the Indominus escaped, and the pteranodons broke out. No one, you know, Main Street was fine. The Indominus wasn't really getting there anytime soon. They could have had plenty of time to evacuate that Main Street before the pteranodons hit.
Yeah.
So the Indominus was actually the only main threat on that island. Fallen Kingdom, you've got the main threat was close proximity with the Indoraptor. And obviously when them dinosaurs were in the mansion and the Sticky went mad and all that sort of side of things, they were then a threat again. But on a grand, you know, in the whole world, a dinosaur, I don't know, I guess the stakes were very, very low. Like, I didn't think for a second at any point any of these characters were going to die. The closest I think I got was probably when Claire and the Therizino were quite close in proximity. That was quite an intense scene. But even that, as good as it was, should have been an extra minute or two longer.
That kind of comes... Sorry, go on.
I was to say that should have been a bit longer and more drawn out. And there was some really cool concept art, which we didn't actually, should have been in the film that didn't end up getting played out, with the silhouette and the tent and all that sort of stuff. But then we know that Claire isn't going to die.
No.
So they need to use characters that we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Like the guy that ended up being munched on by the Indominus in the paddock. We knew Chris Pratt wasn't going to die, but he had someone with him that was.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to see a character death. That's where I think it lacked. There was no one died in this film.
Yeah. Like, I think Henry Wu, although he got his redemption, whatever, I think he should have died in this film.
You see, going on from the comment before with who should have died and stuff, kind of leaded me on to what I was going to talk about anyway, and it's kind of Ian Malcolm's evolution throughout this full franchise. So in Jurassic Park, he came in as a chaotician, had a bad time on the island, said he'd never go back, ended up having to go back in the Lost World, and was like, you just know from that film he will never go back on an island with dinosaurs again. Then Grant went back on Jurassic Park 3, which he would have heard about. So he's heard about another time where someone's gone on the island and nearly died again. And now, all of a sudden, I know they wanted to get all the big characters back and everyone back, and they had to shoehorn it in any way they could. But he's then, he's not on an island, but he's gone back to a place full of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Which he said he'd never do, even if he's only there for a short time. I know it's the only way they could get him in, maybe, but I also think he should have died with the Giga when he was sacrificing.
See,
he was going to sacrifice himself at the end. That would have been a nice kind of farewell.
I still think Henry Wu should have died.
Henry Wu 100% should have died, and he should have died by raptors in a doorway, just like the film, like the book.
Welcome, Mr. Schmackman. Good to have you back.
All right.
Yeah, been a while. So let's go back to Mike's comment, because it could be cause for construct. I just want to read what he said he would have done with the first Jurassic World. If I had to cut and slice the films around, I would have had the first film as it is, but instead of using the I-Rex, it would have been the Giganotosaurus, like I said. And then that way, then you could bring the I-Rex into this third film, which would have been a lot more villainous, I think. It's still large, and to my knowledge, hasn't been seen in the park, so it's still a new dinosaur and could have had Jurassic World Dominion pre-story opening at the start of the film, which would have introduced some of the new animals that we haven't seen yet. Owen would still be the raptor trainer, but he's the kid that Grant teased. No, Mike.
No, Mike.
Definitely not. You can piss off with that one. But the last one he said was about Dominion. The third film would be biasing Rise to Power, producing the mass amounts of dinosaur species for bioweapons, as well as premiering their new hybrid the I-Rex, trained to be obedient and ruthless, but the I-Rex learns it is the alpha predator. How low humans are on the food chain, and without technology, how weak we are. It wastes the biosin staff, destroys the biosin site, releasing all the dinosaurs out into the mainland, and makes its way to the populated area with a pack of theropods, a fully sized Dialo, a Carno, a Baryonyx. That sounds a bit Cretaceous, to be fair, if I'm honest. Once in the populated area, the other theropods were either captured or killed by Owen and his team, but the I-Rex outsmarts them, and eventually the trick the I-Rex into following the fake trail that leads into the original T-Rex. The two battle. The Rex does come out victorious and dies from the wounds. The ending of the trilogy then opens up. The dinosaurs are in the wild now. People trapping them, all taking them to the other locations or illegal stuff. And we see Blue with another raptor from Biosin's batch, along with a clutch of raptor chicks looking out over the sleepy to dusky town. See now, interesting points. I don't know whether that's the way I would want to go, if I'm honest. And that's no disrespect, Mike. I think I would still watch it. I'd still think it would be cool to probably watch, because it wouldn't pan out exactly how you said. I'm sure the action would be really quality.
There's a lot of points in there I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just don't know whether I'd do it as chronologically as he said. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think I don't agree with having the Giga in Jurassic World. I think having Indominus Rex is the way to go for that film. I think it works because then it builded up for, the greatest intro we had in Fallen Kingdom, trying to retrieve like Wu's perfect breed. Like, he's trying to create the most perfect dino, and that sets its tone for Fallen Kingdom.
I would have been devastated if that Giga would have turned up in Jurassic World.
But what if the Giganotosaurus, right, was in Jurassic World though, right? Let's just hear me out. And that was the reason why, and that because the DNA, that's why it's slightly different looking to what you'd think, because it's not just a pure Giganotosaurus like the T-Rexes, I guess. It's got some other traits in it, right? Then when the Giganotosaurus gets killed, imagine everything is exactly the same, but it's just a Giga instead, right? Then they go back and retrieve the Giganotosaurus DNA. I keep changing my name, what it's called. They take the DNA, and that's why they make the I-Rex instead of the Indoraptor. So it's still the same thing. It's just that the Giganotosaurus is used instead, because then the Indoraptor and the Indominus Rex is part Giganotosaurus anyway, and part raptor and part T-Rex, and it makes sense that they've got that DNA strand from that Giga in the water where they go and retrieve it. They do the exact same thing in Fallen Kingdom, but it's the Giga bone instead of the Indominus Rex bone.
Here's a question, though.
Like, it does make, like, they both make sense to each other, really.
Yeah.
But
Here's a question, though. Claire was saying, like, they want bigger, scarier, like more teeth, didn't they? Or was Masrani, whoever said it in the film? Why didn't they make the Spinosaurus?
Don't know.
They've already got the DNA for the Spino because they created it on Sauna. Why is the Spinosaurus not in the park in Jurassic World?
it is skeleton.
Right, skeleton, but they're looking for something bigger, more exciting. It's slightly bigger. It was a little bit more menacing and exciting than the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, going to have to go in a minute. Great catch up, you guys. A bit of a live stream. Well done, Joe. Thank you for joining, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Interesting. Like, it's a good choice. Now, I would have loved to see the Spino again, but I think he got such a backlash for like killing the Rex in the third film. It's almost taken a little bit of a while for people to actually re-like it again. Yeah, it's almost taken these other dinosaurs to come in first before people really want to see the Spino again. That's why they were so gutted about it not appearing in Dominion. It was meant to be on the eruption on Isla Sorna, on Isla Nublar, on the island. It was supposed to be in Fallen Kingdom, but they took it out. It was supposed to be on the island when it was supposed to, because in the in the lore of the Jurassic, the Spinosaurus is meant to be at Jurassic World somewhere already. It's got a hologram. It's got information on it in the visitor center thing.
I think that would have been a nice cutaway to Fallen Kingdom when it was exploding. Even if it was just a quick shot of seeing it in a river, whatever, coming out, and then just getting a quick shot of it so we know it's there. Didn't have to explain where it is, why it's there, or anything like that. And then they could have used that again if they wanted.
Now, I think I spoke to Jack about this, about the canon stuff, and that's why they did the backstory of the Spinosaurus, didn't they? I don't think there's any set sort of proof that it is a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not literally written down. It is a hybrid. It's very cleverly worded that you can interpret that as it's a hybrid, or you could not. Almost like an accident. Whether the accident is just producing it in the first place, or the accident is that they've made it out of multiple different things, which is why it's, bipedal as opposed to quadruped, almost, and built like a normal theropod dinosaur as opposed to being lower to the ground, almost duck-like, if you know what I mean.
I always thought of it as a pure Spino, if you like, but then obviously paleontology has moved on since the film was made and things have changed, so you could still get away with that in terms of saying it was a hybrid because it was bipedal and stuff like that. So I kind of get that argument, but I've always been on the side of it's a Spino.
Yeah, but I like the idea of that. In the Jurassic World universe, that is what that animal looks like, rather than a bit like the Velociraptors being 6 feet. I don't want them to be
a frill.
Yeah, like a Dilophosaurus. Sorry, a Dilophosaurus has a frill. Yeah. The Montana is where you find raptors.
Yeah.
So
about a foot under the surface. Yeah. Just brush it away and you get one. There you go.
Yeah. So let's go on to properly Dominion on what we really didn't like.
Giga.
You didn't like the Giga.
I like the Giga as a character, just do not like the design of it, no matter how much I watch it. And do you know what? Actually, when I look at it,
I love the Giga.
I think, you know what, it's all right. And there's certain things about the Giga that I really, really don't like. And it's not necessarily, it's a bit shrink wrapped, but I can get over that. It's the hump behind the back of its head.
I like that.
See, I just really don't. I don't know what it is about it. Just don't like it. For me, it looks a bit too. It looks like a subadult Acrocanthosaur.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
And I know everyone else doesn't see that, and some people love it, some people don't. I'm just on the side that I don't.
I think they went that direction because they needed that visual differential between the T-Rex and the
they didn't want it to just look like another T-Rex to people
just
who
with a slightly bigger head.
To the general public, because to the general public, if you put a Giga there and a T-Rex there, most people go, "Oh, it's pretty similar, pretty similar." So I get why they've done it, but from someone who kind of likes dinosaurs and follows them, blah blah blah, it just beat me up a bit. My only other major gripe was the dilos, and how they looked, and the ending scene with, my God, what's his name, Dodgson. In the tube, how them dials got in the tube.
Yeah, because that thing was traveling some speed.
Yeah, that they are my two, I would say, biggest issues with the film, apart from spoiler alert, how the Giga dies.
Yeah, that's another thing that really annoyed me was the ending. I mean, spoiler, guys. It shouldn't be spoilers because you should be watched it by now. We've got yet another victory by the Rex, and it's another impalement.
Yeah.
We got it in Fallen Kingdom with the Indoraptor. Giga.
What frustrates me with the way that the World Trilogy has handled the T-Rex is that it always seems to be treating like a little bitch constantly.
Yeah.
In the fossil record, that animal was an absolute tank. Like, it might not be the longest, it might not be the tallest, but it's like, in terms of body mass and weight, it would be like, I don't know, like a 6 foot rugby player up against a 6 foot soccer football player. You know what I mean? In terms of stamp and size, one might be quicker, might have different attributes, but one's actually like a tank. And it just didn't really make sense that I get the Indominus because it's a killing machine. It actually has been, it's a 50-foot long raptor.
Yeah.
It's got the strength of a T-Rex, bulletproof skin. It's got the dexterous forearms of a raptor. It's got the ability to vocalize, and its intelligence level is like ridiculous. With the with the Indominus, I completely get the T-Rex losing. I think any animal would lose to that thing. But with the Giganotosaurus, it was very, very heavily built. So, credit where it's due. I will say, in terms of body weight, for these two animals that we see on telly, the Indominus, the Giganotosaurus was heavier built, but the T-Rex bite should naturally, it's designed to be bone crushing. So even if the Giganotosaurus was a bigger animal, the T-Rex blow to a vital place would probably be very, very fatal.
I was literally going to bring this up, that it's actually throughout the whole of the 6 films, we do not see that element of strength in a T-Rex's bite at all.
No.
Because any animal can kill the humans, can't they?
Do you know what? Relaying all those aside, even if they didn't pay attention to any of them comments that you guys have just said in terms of its bite force, its physicality, bring in the other T-Rex that was there. Have 2 of them against 1.
So why have they not got? This is another thing that pissed. Right, here we go. Right, we're going.
We're getting into the nitty gritty now. Come on.
Right, okay, right. Therizinosaurus shouldn't have been there. What the hell was it even there for in that area? I know it brought in because of the shippy chip thing, but that's
why is it so aggressive? I get herbivores can be aggressive, but I feel that was overly aggressive.
But weren't it blind?
Yeah,
one eye, wasn't it?
So it was blind, and it hunted using sonar. That's why it couldn't find Claire, because you couldn't see her. And then all of a sudden, it's visible enough to fight against 2 theropods.
I thought it was only blind in one eye, and
I think
it was
blinding.
the right eye.
Both, because it couldn't find Claire, could it?
Yeah, because if you looked, Claire was hanging on the tree, owning that right eye section of the Therizino.
I need to have another look at that.
She was wearing green as well.
I can't quite remember.
Yeah, I'm sure Jack said that.
Yeah, I think
we were discussing it.
Okay, well, that's still, do you know what I mean? With regard to the T-Rex fighting, why, if that's meant to be the other 2 T-Rexes, which, by the way, I don't think it is, because the colours aren't even green and brown. If it's meant to be the other 2 T-Rexes, why did they not come in to make a heroic appearance?
Because that would have been an awesome ending.
It would have been brilliant.
Do you know what it would have been? It would have been the Lost World scene where they come out through the trees, about to attack Eddie. It would have been very, very similar. Coming through the door, just 2 T-Rexes. That would have been.
Imagine if that cue of music would have come in as well.
Exactly. With that cue from that would have been like unreal, and they've just not done it.
I
want to go and do that now. See if I can make a version of that and do it.
There was some people have made some like cartoons and using Blender and that have made the Spinosaurus come in and team up with the T-Rex to take down the Giga, haven't they? But I don't think any of these creatures would have lasted 2v1. Especially a Spinosaurus coming in and a T-Rex coming in. The Giga wouldn't have lasted. It wouldn't have worked. Like, neither of them would have had that. A 3-way fight wouldn't have worked. Like, that just showed you that 10 seconds it took for the T-Rex to go, wallop round its neck, shove it into the Therizino, it was dead.
Yeah.
Do you know what, right? I would have even preferred it. Say we don't get that version where the T-Rexes come in and save the day. even if the Giga was fighting the ferry messed it up a bit with its claws. The Giga killed the ferry, but the Giga was still injured enough that when the Rex came back, the Rex just finished it off. I would have preferred that than the impaling that we got.
Yeah. And what annoyed me as well is that the fact that the Giga died, and again, we've seen a T-Rex look at another dinosaur just after a battle scene and then walk away. Why is he not then attacking?
Say that. I forgot about that in Jurassic World. That's one thing that in Jurassic World that I don't like. It's
the raptor
mutual thing between Blue and Rexy. It's like
it just wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen. They'd roar at each other. They'd put. I mean, there is animals in the wild that sit like look at each other and think, "Is this worth the battle?" And then maybe run off. But they don't agree amicably. Yes, thank you, sir. Yeah. See you later. Doesn't happen like that.
It's almost like they went.
Yeah,
high five.
It is. Yeah. I tip my hat to you, sir. Good fight. I'll see you later.
Good fight, and on a lightning cue. Well, I've started that one, Steve, so we can.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just going to say, Toys with Christian. It might be next week or it'll be the week after, but we will be doing a special on what we want to see in the Jurassic 7 or Jurassic World 4, whatever. So it is a good question. We probably won't touch on it today, but you can join the next stream when we do it and we'll discuss everything on Jurassic World 4 / Jurassic 7.
Absolutely. And obviously leave a comment. If you don't like on the live stream, they're great, but leave a comment in the main chat and in the comments below the video, and we'll definitely respond to you the best we can. Obviously, try and remain spoiler free of that discussion we're going to have.
Yeah, so we'll have to do sort of final thoughts on this film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we can just discuss this for quite a long time.
Got me annoyed talking about it.
Yeah,
I just don't want to watch it.
Yeah, so I'd say Dominion's probably the biggest letdown out of the three.
Yeah.
It's still an enjoyable film. Like, I love the mortar scene and I will watch that over and over again. There's certain elements of seeing like the way that like Ellie and Malcolm and Grant are interacting with each other. I love Grant in Biosins when he's ordering the coffee.
Yeah.
I think that sort of bit, like, he's way out of his element again.
Now, what do you think, quickly, just about Grant and Ellie getting together in the end? Do you like it? Do you not?
No, I don't. I think she should have still been with Mark.
Yeah, I didn't really get the whole 20-year difference relationship from the start, to be honest.
I've always seen her as like she was the student and he was the teacher. And I've always had that in Jurassic Park. I didn't even think they were together in Jurassic Park.
I thought there was history in Jurassic Park. Like the things had gone on, but they just decided maybe, you know what, we're just going to be friends.
Better as friends,
Yeah, and they kind of got involved as friends.
Yeah, I got the whole Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard chemistry because there was definitely sexual tension between the two.
Yeah,
whereas Ellie and Alan exactly, and it was purely like in this, like with them two, it was really a like just
it was
almost like a work relationship. It was odd.
Yeah, it just felt like he was the college professor and she was like one of the students, and you know, technically they're of legal age, but
it's frowned upon.
Ethically, you just don't do. That's weird. What it felt like to me.
That's how I met my wife.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a bit. Yeah, I see. We actually didn't discuss the characters, did we? Like the main cast. See, now I actually think if you take the main cast out of this film, it's pretty dull because it was the main cast stuff that we got in terms of like I'm talking about Grant, Sattler, and Malcolm. Take them three away from this film for Dominion, I kind of lose almost most of the interest in it because let's be frank, I think they are the ones that have got the bums in the seats.
Yeah.
I think obviously people that have watched number 1 and number 2 want to see what happens with number 3, but people do love them characters, so they want to see what their arc finishes like.
Yeah, this brings up a little bit. So you guys, I don't get why people don't like Jurassic World Dominion because the developers worked so hard on it. Yeah, they did work hard on it, but another like little niggly thing, right? There's so many issues with this film. It just didn't deliver, but they were also given additional time with COVID to get this film right.
Yeah, they're still messing it up.
They had a lot. What would this film would have been like if they didn't have that extra year and a half to do, like the touch-ups and the story writing and really fine-tune this story.
And I get like us saying in hindsight, oh, this would have worked better, that would have worked better. Like, it's all right saying that in hindsight, and they maybe didn't think of that at the time, but you would think with all the people who were advising them, all the people who advised them on Jurassic lore and Jurassic theories and stuff like that, surely some of this must pop into their head to think, that'd be a great idea to do that. 2 Rexes, we've got them there. You've already filmed them. Let's use them.
Just do it.
You know what I mean?
It's not like it's just an idea that someone's just thrown in there.
No.
They've then got the flipping T-Rex and teased you with it after.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, if they hadn't put it in the film,
I
could have said, you know what, that would have been a great idea, but you've got them there. You've CGI'd them in the shot.
Yeah,
just honestly, it's like rubbing salt in the wound.
Press the D on your keyboard for dinosaur and just put them in.
Yeah. Search Rex and then add it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Right. Just because obviously I know we want to like get this under wraps. With this film, I think they missed a good opportunity with having the Ellie Sattler storyline being about how the environment's changing, like the environment, the ecosystem is changing and turning prehistoric because of plant life that's been released. With that, the dinosaurs are naturally producing a pheromone or something that is being consumed somehow, which is causing a global, almost like a disease, like the DX disease. So humans having to find a cure to survive. So the dinosaurs are thriving and the humans are diminishing. The other thing could have been, I'm not putting that comment up, Chris.
Yeah.
Do one.
So just touching on that, right? So you said like she plays obviously a part with all like the plants, like prehistoric plants, and mentioned in first one that you don't even know that these are poisonous. You've just chosen them because they look pretty. What if they were like those plants were spreading across the globe as well? And to tie in with the what are the bugs? Not cockroaches, the locusts. Locusts, that's it. That are eating the healthy plants. People then turn into eat like stuff that's been crossbred with these prehistoric plants. They're getting sick. So they turn to Ellie to go, what's going on? And she goes, I told you this. You've got these prehistoric plants that you're trying to like breed into now. People are going to get sick. Away. Yeah. And there's your connection to Sattler.
Yeah, there you go. And there's Ellie's story. Although I actually did really like Ellie Sattler in this film. Like this was her movie, and I thought she was great. I thought Alan Grant was comedic, but along for the ride most of the time.
Yeah, he was like the granddad, just given a script that he goes, I can learn the words, but I'm not going to know what they mean.
I think Ian Malcolm should have died.
Ian Malcolm should have died. He should have been sacrificial for the Giganotosaurus.
Yeah.
And the Giganotosaurus didn't even kill a single person in this film.
Yeah.
Not a single person. The main villain didn't kill a single person. And that's another thing.
Nitrosaurus killed more humans than the Giganotosaurus in this film.
It did, right? And another thing, just before we go, that kind of segues into the final thought of me on that, is that I think the stakes, this film was catered too much for kids. There was no one died. No one was in any danger. Chris Pratt survived a plane crash in an ice environment, didn't get hypothermia. Then no one died from the Giganotosaurus. They got shot at multiple times. He got chased down by raptors. But I get that the main two characters of this film aren't going to die, but they should have made people die in this film.
And what's more annoying is if they're not due to return in Jurassic World
kill them off.
7, get rid of them. You know,
kill them off or make them bloody retire or something.
Just have a final end to their story. Like we've had it now. They've had their trilogy. We've got those trilogies. That's their stories done.
The main characters had their shot and they were selected for extinction. I do think that's
frustrating more than anything.
Very, very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
Which makes me nervous for the next one, but that's another story.
Yeah, that will be for another. Yeah,
definitely another discussion.
We can cover a good.
Join us for that one.
Yeah, whether it's next week or the week after, check the calendar.
Who knows? But we'll definitely click the notification bell so you do know, and make sure you leave a comment on anything we've discussed. In fact, leave a comment for every single segment that we spoke about, because I want to know what you think. What your thoughts are on the 3 films, why you thought the Jurassic World trilogy got worse as the films went along, and also how you compare this trilogy to the last trilogy. Because for me, I think the last trilogy is actually better than this trilogy, but I think the story arc is done better in this one.
Look out for a poll that will be coming at some point on YouTube and Twitter for which trilogy do you think is better, Jurassic Park or Jurassic World?
I agree, Gaming.
Yeah. So, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.
So do it now. Do it right now. If you're still here, do it now.
Exactly. So, yep, guys, thanks for watching. Just one thing left to say.
Life.
We'll
find a way.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.